And now, this afternoon, I am pleased and proud to introduce this afternoon's speaker, Dr. Jagdish Sheth. Jag is the Charles H. Kelstead Professor of Marketing at Emory University in the Goizueta School of Business. Jag is a renowned scholar in the fields of consumer psychology, relationship marketing, competitive strategy, and geopolitical analysis. As a faculty member and as a thought leader, he is recognized around the world for his expertise, having published more than 400 research papers and 40 books on a variety of topics related to international business. Jag's advice has aided business leaders and policymakers again throughout the world. He has served as a consultant for many top-tier companies, including AT&T, Delta, Ernst & Young, Ford, GE, Pillsbury, and many others. Jag is a frequent guest and commentator on the major news networks. During his career, he has received Outstanding Educator Awards from the Academy of Marketing Science and Sales and the American Marketing Association. Please join me in welcoming to the podium today's speaker, Dr. Jagdish Sheth. Jag.
Well, good afternoon. Those of you in the gallery, I want to assure you that I'm standing. President Daniel Papp, Provost Ken Harmon, deans of respective colleges, and honored guests. Thank you for inviting me to deliver the commencement address for the class of 2014. I'm both honored and humbled by your invitation. My congratulations to class of 2014 and their parents, significant others in your lives. You have invested 4 wisest years, both in terms of economic investment as well as your own personal growth. Just to give you statistics, only yesterday, the government announced that if you're only high school graduate, your annual compensation in the government or in the country was about $36,000. But if you're a college graduate, it went up to $58,000. Similarly, the unemployment among graduates is only 4.5% college graduates. Unemployment among high school graduates is 13.5%. Absolutely, you have made the wisest choice, and congratulations again. I came to the United States in 1961 as a foreign graduate student to do my MBA and then eventually my doctorate. In those days, nobody knew how to pronounce names of Indian students. So I was given a nickname, Jag, like in Jaguar. And ever since that association, I've been dreaming of owning a Jaguar with a license plate, Jag's Jag, right? And the dream became a reality 15 years ago when I turned 60. I'm 75. Do I look 75? Exactly. That's because in marketing, the first thing we learn, it's all about packaging, right? That Grecian formula 10 goes a long way, right? But true story, I have 2 grown-up children. They both live in Atlanta, and they surprised me on my birthday. I don't count my birthdays. I come from that generation. I remember Saturday morning, I went out to get my newspaper and turn around and saw this beautiful car, Jaguar, top of the line, XJ model. Even the color I liked, parked in the driveway with a handwritten license plate, Jag's Jag, happy 60th birthday. Thank you. It was a rental car, unfortunately. True story. And I do this introduction so you get used to my accent. Do I have an accent? No, see, I think I don't have an accent till I listen to my own audio or videotapes, and you see this strange Indian accent even today. But I started teaching 50 years ago, and I remember trying to make a point in the class with a rapid-fire English speaking with a foreign accent, and the student would not understand. So I would rush to the chalkboard, remember blackboard in those days? And try to write the phrase and the words. And one time, one student stood up and said, "Sir, your handwriting also has an accent." Absolutely true stories. You are very fortunate, I must tell you. The future you are inheriting is with more opportunities than ever before in the history of America or in the history of the world now. And there are three key trends that are generating those opportunities. I will touch upon a few of them and look at their implications for your career as you start your next step in the life journey. The first one is, in America, changing demographics. This country is going through massive demographic changes, all happening at once, that we had never understood fully its implications, both for business opportunities as well as for work opportunities. The first one, as all of us know, is aging of the population. The fastest growing segment actually is centenarians, people who live to be 100 years or older. Think about that one. We now have almost 250,000 people who are 100 years or older, and they are growing in larger numbers. And they all want to drive. Have you noticed that? And no, they will not be all in Florida. They will be in every neighborhood. Okay? Now, what happens when the society ages? Clearly, the two largest needs of an aging society are the health preservation and wealth preservation, which is why there is actually a shortage of talent in healthcare industry, for example, as it is in wealth management, both for a regular corporate career, but also, in fact, for entrepreneurship. Second, statistics. Every day in America, we are now retiring 10,000 people every day, which means 3.65 million people annually, 3.5 million people will be retiring. They will be out of the workforce. You need young talent to replace them. Another large opportunity for the class of 2014. Second major change is the permanent change in the society in the last 40, 50 years, where we have a working women households. 75% of all women who have children at home are now working outside the family, and they are all working full-time, surprisingly. Working by the spouse has become more a necessity, not just a nice thing to do. Knowing this trend and the new young generation families, true income wage earner is a reality pretty much. So what are its consequences? The first major consequence is the biggest outsourcing is not American companies outsourcing IT and HR functions to Indian IT services, for example, but the biggest outsourcing is in the family. Cooking, cleaning, childcare. If you put the numbers together, they are staggering again. Average expenditure per family is about $20,000 in eating out, for example, not cooking at home, taking care of the cleaning at home, having somebody take care, as well as, in fact, primarily the child care, which is an expensive proposition, but it is adding to the economy. It is likely to be, in the long run, with 110 million families, about a $2 trillion new economy, and it is totally unorganized sector. There is no major player as yet. Kinder care in child care is the only one, in fact, which may be a large scale, and Mary Maids is just started as a large chain for household cleaning. But not every family can afford house cleaning. So who takes care of house cleaning now? What do you think? Does husband help you out? The answer is no, please. Have you noticed the incompetency? He pleads incompetency. Where is the vacuum cleaner? Once you show them, you basically say, how does it operate? You get frustrated, right? So nobody does the house cleaning. In fact, in my family, and we are only 2 of us now at this age, it becomes such a huge problem that I invite friends, not just for their company, but the house gets cleaned. I don't know who does it, I do it, or she does it, etc., interestingly. Not only biggest outsourcing, creating enormous entrepreneurial opportunities, but unfortunately, there is nobody at home 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Who is at home? What do you think? Some people have said the dog is at home. I find the dog is also gone. We are becoming more a cat family now, interestingly. And down the road, even the cats will be replaced by electronic pets, I must tell you. And we will have love and affection toward electronic pets as much as we do with anything else. Time is becoming as scarce a commodity as money, creating enormous opportunities for business entrepreneurs as well as large corporations. The last demographic change is increasing ethnic diversity. The trend has begun pretty much, it's permanent. By 2030, all of America will become non-white majority. The largest state is California, which is already non-white majority. And right following is Texas and Florida. They will also become non-white majority. This not only changes the politics of the nation, but the consumption behavior. Those ethnic foods and services, which are meant only for a small percentage of the population, now become mainstream. Again, to illustrate with a couple of examples. In the UK, United Kingdom, the most convenient food is no longer fish and chips as it used to be, but is Indian curry. In this country, we are replacing salsa for ketchup and tortilla chips for potato chips. Think about all the changes taking place. But more importantly, this ethnic diversity is very positive for the nation. You begin to now relate to each other in a very different way. Each one has their own cultural backgrounds. And I remember going through my own experience of immersing into this country almost 53 years ago when I came as a student. My business school had a rule, we all had to wear a suit, dark suit, white shirt, and a dark tie. I did not have white shirts. I came from India where white shirts get too dirty, so we have color shirts. So I went to a local department store, Kaufman's is the name, and asked the clerk to show me the white shirts. I remember the brand name called Arrow. And I said, what's the price? And the answer was $5. And immediately I said, how about $2.50? I still remember the stunned face of that sales clerk, because I came from a country where you always negotiate prices. I said, look, my friend has parked his car downstairs in a meter. I don't have much time. $3, take it or leave it. And I finally understood this is a different culture, different background, and I need to understand to relate to that culture and background. Second major trend is really globalization, and especially emergence of emerging economies. China and India alone will be a $10 trillion consumer market by 2020. $6.5 trillion China market, $3.5 trillion of Indian market, and they are the future growth engines for both our economy as well as our corporations. If you analyze the data of, let's say, McDonald's, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, or any product categories, not just in the consumer markets, but also in automobiles, it is all coming as much demand abroad as it is from here. Great export markets for our own economy at the same time. So the time has come when you are likely to work for an American enterprise someplace abroad. You'll have to deal with that cultural diversity upfront. You are likely to work for an emerging country enterprise in America. And they will not be just of European descent. For example, the largest beer company now is a Brazilian company, InBev, which just bought out Anheuser-Busch or Budweiser brand name. Second largest company is a South African beer company, SAB, that bought out the second largest beer company called Miller brand in this country. And those multinationals will come from India, they'll come from China, they will come from all emerging markets. So we need to get used to this cultural diversity and relate to them in a positive way. The last trend, and the one that I think is most important and more interesting, is the typical digital revolution and the rise of the internet. Internet has done, probably will transform the society more than railroads did many years ago, highways did with the automobile invention, telephone did, television did, but the potential of the internet making impact on the society, we cannot even imagine today. Think the following. There was no Google till year 2000. There was no Facebook, obviously. There was no Twitter, for example. And have you heard the story of a company called WhatsApp? Only 50 employees with 400 million users, all outside the country mostly. And obviously, Facebook has made an offer of $19 billion. So you divide $19 billion or 50 employees, even if they had equal share, each one of them is a billionaire. That's the power of the internet. Entrepreneurship has been never democratized by any technology before, whether they were railroads, automobiles, or telephone, even television, than what the internet is doing. So entrepreneurship is another major opportunity you have, not just a traditional corporation. So what's my advice to you? Here are the few things that I would recommend you do. First one is make sure you engage in social media with your grandparents and great-grandparents as you do with your friends. They have the money, okay? Second, make sure you make friends with strangers. You never know, any one of them may be the next Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg or Jack Ma. Have you heard of Jack Ma? Starting a similar one to what we do in this country, an e-commerce platform, Alibaba, which is more market valuation, almost knocking the doors of Apple and Microsoft in this country. This is a worldwide phenomenon. Third, just as the Army slogan says, be what you can be, what you want to be, so go ahead and do the bungee jump. This is the golden time to be an entrepreneur if you somehow feel like the traditional corporate job is not what you're cut out for. However, there is a corollary. If you do want to make a bungee jump, make sure you continue to have your bedroom in your parents' house. You will need it between career and life transitions. And finally, and more seriously, commit yourself now to give back to the society. You are a privileged group of people who have been properly nurtured, encouraged by your family, encouraged by your educational teachers, high school as well as college, encouraged by the society in general. You have achieved something that is distinctive, not only from an economic perspective, but from societal perspective. So think about giving back. There is nothing more meaningful or powerful than human capital, human potential. If you take a grain of wheat and make it into a loaf of bread, the value add is only 3 times. The value of the bread compared to wheat is about 3 times. If you take a rough diamond and cut it, polish it, the value add is about 10 times. But if you take a human being, no matter what background they come from, polish them, nurture them, the value add is infinite. And the reason I'm making this point is that I'm one of them. I was born in 1938 in Burma to an Indian merchant family. Education was not the driver for in my family. We became refugees when Japan took over Burma in 1940, came back, struggled very hard. I probably would be a merchant in a small town, like a village almost, earning about $2,500 a year primarily, less than high school educated. But somebody recognized my potential. My family, especially my sisters, my brothers, so did my teachers, gave me the encouragement to say, you seem like you are interested in learning, continue your education. And of course, I decided to be an academic. What I find is that giving back gives you a pleasure far more than earning money. I advise large CEOs of companies, very wealthy people. Most of them, if they earn the money without purpose, actually are having empty life. So committing back to giving back in any form you can do, get the potential of other human beings, is probably more meaningful than anything you will do ever in your life. And I must tell you also, I'm finding it, Dr. Papp, that giving back while you are alive is more fun than after you are dead. Thank you again. And as the saying says in the Star Wars movie, may the force be with you. Congratulations again. Thank you.
What we always look for in a graduation speaker is somebody who delivers a memorable message with passion and humor. And I think we can all agree that, Jag, you did that beautifully. Thank you, sir.